You and I need to talk about how you truly let go of fear in a healthy and empowering way while manifesting. Because I know for many of you watching this video feel quite a lot of pressure to remain positive or to be high vibrational in order to manifest. And the issue with this is it gives you the impression that in order to achieve that, you have to persist in using manifestation techniques to avoid, suppress, deny, and even reject any negative emotion you have. And this causes people to start battling or fighting negative thoughts. And I'm also getting the impression that you have been led to believe that if you acknowledge that fear or how you truly feel, that will start manifesting and you won't get what it is you want. But as you progress on this journey, which I define as stages of the expansion to your consciousness, not a hierarchy of levels necessarily, you'll realize how untrue and unhealthy that really is. Now, in part, this is due to the lack of education we receive as a whole on how our human brain actually operates and how to correctly handle our emotions, which has of course been brought into the manifestation realm, right? This is why you and I are in flux with coaches and spiritual teachers telling you, a person who is genuinely feeling appropriately upset, worried or stressed or even afraid, just to persist in the use of affirmations. I am safe and I have what I want now, which will not work for the majority, because if you're experiencing genuine fear, your brain already feels unsafe and distrusting of what is happening, making that fear stronger and you more reactive long term. But I want to share something really important with you all so that you don't need to learn the hard way as I did, because I am very well versed in fear. Fear is not your problem in manifestation. It is how you're handling fear that is. Big difference, and we're going to change that today. So in today's video, you're going to learn how to truly let go of fear with me in real time by implementing this very effective practice I have used for many years with hundreds of clients that will have a profound effect on the results you're manifesting. And this is especially transformational for those of you who are facing rejection of any kind, but want to manifest a healthy, loving relationship or better financial opportunities. This simple practice will change how you deal with your emotions within, which in turn will change 3D external circumstances with consistent implementation. And I shall explain why that is, because the why in this case is very important. But first, we're going to establish the root cause of what triggers fear while manifesting, because 3D circumstances are not actually what is responsible for this. And understanding this will reduce the stress, upset, and worry that are just symptoms of that root cause, whilst reminding you what this journey of becoming a conscious manifester actually involves, so you can feel a lot calmer having the tools and gaining the experience you need to make this journey one you can enjoy. So be sure to save this video, because you will undoubtedly come back to it. Before we begin, if you're new here, my name is Frances and I live and teach this journey of I Am, which is the biblical approach to conscious manifestation, otherwise known as the path to Christ consciousness. This provides a deeper insight into the works of Neville Goddard, Abraham Hicks, Bashar, and other prominent spiritual teachers, whilst providing the why, the what, and the how we implement these techniques in a healthy, loving way that protects your human self, the way God intended, which I do by combining my studies in neuroscience and teaching my mastery for the past 8+ years. If you ever need further one-to-one support, you can book with me using the link in the description box below, join our private Facebook group, and catch up on the membership-only lives where I answer all of your questions. They're all listed below. So I want you to keep this beautiful quote in mind for the rest of your journey. And you may want to pause the video and even take a screenshot. If God does not work the miracle to change your circumstances, trust that He is performing a greater miracle in changing you. It's by Sarah Walton, and it speaks to the fact that you and I always get what it is we have asked for. Always, and regardless of the fear. However, it also means that when you begin this journey of becoming a conscious manifester, what I call stage 1 in this process, the manifestations aren't always going to be instantaneous for every subject area and for everyone. Money, health, relationships, work. Sometimes in order to embody that version of you who is in that healthy, loving relationship, who has the money, who is a competent and successful business owner, who has great health, whatever it is, requires you to let go of what doesn't align with that new version of you. So that means you would let go of things like a poverty mindset, the focus on the failures, what is missing, the money you don't have, the habit of beating yourself up over feeling or thinking negatively, the habit of rejecting parts of yourself, your emotions, your feelings, the version of you that is tolerating what you do not want or staying in situations, jobs, relationships that are unhealthy out of fear, or having nothing from low self-esteem. Whatever it is will be extremely personal to you, to your growth, your evolution as a divine human, because you are reality and it is your 3D reflection. And so let's keep this in mind, that the purpose of this journey in its entirety is to let go of who you are not, to become who you've always been, at one with the divine source energy, that I am. And that is exactly what we mean when we say divine timing. It's not that God is making you wait. He is waiting on you for the sake of understanding to let go of whatever is keeping you in alignment with what you do not want. Because you can't worship two gods, the version of you that is manifesting what you don't want and the version of you who's already living that desire. And from experience, that is the only determining factor of how long anything takes to manifest, but what most people are reluctant to do because of this fear. So let's discuss a few examples of the root cause of fear and the role it plays at this stage, which aren't discussed as they should be online, and really important for you to learn. This journey at first isn't always sunshine and roses, okay? We're not over here singing kumbaya when we go through this process of letting go of the habits and or the beliefs or ways of thinking and feeling and treating yourself. Whatever it is that is responsible for the unwanted manifestation you're currently experiencing, and which are keeping you aligned with what you don't want. The human side of you will sometimes experience fear, and to varying degrees, for three main reasons which I've experienced myself. In the first instance, the degree of which you experience that fear will be dependent on how intrinsically linked those parts of you were to your identity as a whole. And this happens because any big change made to who you are as a human being neurologically, for example, the shift from low self-esteem to knowing you're of royal blood because you're a child of God, which is what I did, and funnily enough, how I ended up with literal royal clients, which I hadn't even thought about, changes everything about how you perceive yourself and your perception of the 3D world at large, because that is what these beliefs and belief systems are designed to do. So this means it changes what you attract, tolerate, how you react and respond. It alters dramatically how you're treated by your SP, your boss, friends, people in this world, you name it. It makes a huge shift because it has a domino effect on you as a whole neurologically. And any change like that made within you changes your vibration. But during any shift like that, the brain gets scared, okay? Because having low self-esteem, a poverty mindset, a negative mindset, identifying as someone who is rejected all the time, just as examples, made everything, including the negative experiences, thoughts and feelings, predictable. And predictability, trusting and being confident of what comes next, good or bad, equals safety to your brain. So when entering the new state of consciousness of any kind, or whilst you let go of that old way of being, is going to bring up fear, which is why simply reciting affirmations is not bringing you comfort. It isn't working, because trying to override that feeling by thinking positively during this state is not how the body or mind wants you to handle this situation, which is why it will feel as if that fear is just getting stronger and stronger. All you're doing is refusing to acknowledge the vibration you're currently offering by trying to fool yourself otherwise. Thankfully, God is good and He gave us dominion over how we feel, our kingdom. And what separates us from most other species is we are not victim to our emotions, meaning we don't have to act or behave in alignment with how we feel. We can feel afraid and still do what is right, what is loving, what leads us to better outcomes. That in part is how we create a relationship of trust with our brain. Fear doesn't make you fail, it makes you braver. The second way fear arises while manifesting is because we are still reactive to 3D circumstances. For example, When you face circumstances that are not what you want, the money you want is not in the bank, your SB is not in your life, you've had an argument, you've been laid off of work, you receive a text that your SP doesn't want to be with you or has moved on, or you've consciously decided to change jobs, move, leave someone, make a big change, whatever it is not those circumstances that have caused you to feel upset, worried, stressed or afraid. Rather, what has caused this to happen is your brain, and in some cases, you aren't even aware of this consciously, has asked the questions, what does this mean for me? And am I safe? And your brain will provide an answer to that question if you're not in control of it. And that answer will be based on your experiences to date. You see, your brain is designed to ask these questions because it looks to you to determine how you should emotionally respond to what you're experiencing, whether that be psychologically or something external to you. It is why God gave us a full spectrum of emotions, which science even estimates as like 32,000. He knew you would need them all because they play a major role in your ability to exercise complete freedom of choice. This is your world. You are reality. And that means it is all an inside job. And without complete freedom, you wouldn't be able to create change, let alone create your preferred human experience. And how you feel plays a major role in the quality of your human life experience. It is why for all people who would describe themselves as being more logical, doesn't change the fact that you and I dominantly navigate our world through feeling. And what usually happens with humans is they have a pattern, a history, dare I say, of negative experiences within the subject area they are manifesting change in. So the answers your brain provides will sound something like this. This always happens. I always get rejected in relationships. I can never find a better relationship than this. I can't get this person back. I've never got enough money to buy or do the things I want. I always end up in debt. No one is going to understand. I'll get hate for this, etc., etc. And that is what is making you feel afraid, because those answers are signaling to your brain that not only does the situation negatively impact you, but this is how it's always going to be. Because a brain like this, who is so used to catastrophizing and projecting negative future outcomes, that it will repeat that familiar pattern, which is why people repeat history. So if you're thinking and feeling like that in turn is going to create an action. So just remember, the sequence of all brains is question, answer, action. Now that is important for those who often end up in freeze mode and delay actually doing what needs to be done, making that move, implementing that change, being consistent, because they've become so afraid of what they have decided will happen, future tense, as a result of that decision. It stops them from even actioning it. So they become paralyzed over circumstances that aren't even happening. How you feel is important because many with an untrained mind, it dictates the action your human self takes, which is why we have to learn how to take care of our human selves regardless of how old we are, which leads me to the third reason. Very few of us, unless we learn it independently, are ever taught how to handle our emotions, which is why the majority of the world right now is so fear-driven. They're even afraid of fear itself, and why the subject around fear and manifestation is such a hot topic. Without the tools, people worry about being swallowed up by them as if they're going to get sucked into this giant big hole that they can't escape from. Not true. As a result, they end up battling and fighting what you define as negative emotions. So most of your experience of them is that they only get stronger, which is why you're so afraid of them. So let's not forget, which often coaches online do, that for all the kingdom of God is within, that there's divinity within you because Christ is in you. You also have the human self, the child of God to take care of, who has been blessed with a brain, with emotions that navigate your world, that contains beliefs and belief systems that shape your personality, the stories you tell yourself and your perception of this world. It has an ego, it has a unique structure that's shaped by your experiences, and a full spectrum of emotions that enables you to provide meaning to this human life experience. And for this stage of your journey to becoming a conscious manifester, it is important to realize and experience that your brain is an ally, not an enemy, but you cannot do that if you persist in avoiding, rejecting, or suppressing how you feel with unhealthy habits. So let's apply the solution and do this together. And I want to preface this because you're ready to hear it. Absolutely everything you do within you is a manifestation technique. I don't think a lot of people truly understand this. You're not just manifesting when scripting or using affirmations or visualizing, nor are they the only ways you manifest what it is you want. All of these manifestation techniques are just tools that you use and were designed to get you to go within and focus your attention on making change by embodying the person who is already living, present tense, the wanted version of reality, because reality is within you. So anything you do, including this process that creates change within, will manifest a change in 3D circumstances. Let's begin. First, whatever you're feeling right now, I want you to close your eyes and ask yourself, who is it that is feeling this way? Come on, who is it that's feeling this way? Now, the answer you'll probably get is along the lines of, well, me, I am, right? So now ask yourself, well, who am I? And you'll notice your mind goes blank. And it goes blank because you're not your human self. Your consciousness observing your human self as the parent, our father does. And our father doesn't speak English or Indian or Japanese or whatever native language you speak. It speaks the language of vibration, which is indescribable. You become completely detached from the human who's experiencing this emotion because you, again, you're not just your human self. Before Abraham was, I am. You're always at one with the Father. The I am, the divinity within you, regardless of how your human self feels. This is a great practice by R.J. Spina that helps you to experience who you really are, because if you were just human, you could not be consciously aware of yourself, which is why I would encourage you to practice this throughout your day, because it provides an experience to your brain, which is what actually teaches you understanding, that you are never alone, no matter what you feel or are experiencing as a human. It will give you immediate relief from that busy mind of yours that is an Oscar-winning scriptwriter making up all these stories that are dictating how you feel and causing all this fear. You might not experience it the first time, but you will with practice. And it is very effective at removing yourself from overwhelming emotions when we have continued a storyline that has been fearful for too long. The second part of the process is going to stop you from rejecting and running away from and denying and suppressing any fear or any unwanted emotional states. Because if you keep rejecting and denying and suppressing parts of yourself, you're going to keep manifesting that in the 3D. You have got to get out of your own way in this journey and realize that as within, so without means absolutely everything within you manifests in the 3D, including how you treat yourself. The root cause of a lot of people experiencing rejection within relationships, with their parents or family dynamic, or with their peers, is because they keep rejecting parts of themselves, and daily. So if you are feeling the fear now, or whatever emotion you do not like, I want you to close your eyes and feel right into it. You're going to sit with it without judgment. This means you're not going to fight it. You're not going to breathe through it. You're not going to think your way through it. You're not going to cause yourself stress by wanting it to go away and saying things like, I do not have time for this, or by trying to resist it or get it to hurry up. You're not going to use thought or words at all. You're not required to think or say anything because it is not what is needed right now. Instead, you're going to lean into that feeling wherever you feel it in your body or mind, and it will dissipate in its own time. And you're going to sit there with it for however long it takes, because that is what we're supposed to do with our emotions, so they are acknowledged and can pass. And you need this experience of that feeling dissipating so you keep doing it and stop doing what is making that fear worse. Now, you will notice a reduction within the first few minutes because our emotions have a sort of lifespan. They cannot continue without our conscious input in a storyline or a question-answer sequence. I can assure you that it does not require any other input from you other than your acknowledgement. Wherever there is tension in the body, it means I need attention. So give it to yourself. Feel into it. If the location of that emotion or tension shifts, Just repeat the process. More significantly, by leaning into that fear rather than struggling to fight against it is a loving act. You're acknowledging how you feel and sitting with your human self without judgment, as a parent would, like our father would. In that moment, you're allowing your mind and body to do what it is designed to do without your conscious interference. Now, you actually did this as a child naturally. That is why when you observe children, they express and acknowledge how they feel, and then it stops and continue on with whatever they were doing moments later. Remember, the Bible said, do not be afraid, and this includes your human emotions. We go through our emotions. We don't go over and around them. You're not here to eradicate primary emotions of your human self, but to accept all of you, including what you define as negative, and learn to handle and process and let go of the unwanted within with love. Why? Because love is the fulfillment of the law. And what is the biblical definition of love? It is kind. It is non-irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing. So are you loving yourself by suppressing, denying, and rejecting this fear, these negative emotions that make up your human self? No. And we don't want that to manifest. We don't want that reflected in how we're being treated by others in relationships or with opportunities. With consistency of responding this way to your emotions, you will stop being afraid of how you feel. And that fear will get less and less and cause you to be less and less reactive. So implement this practice as often as possible. And that change in how you treat yourself will manifest a change in how others treat you. And that is how you truly let go of fear while manifesting. Let me know if this was of service to you in the comments below. Thank you so much for all the likes, subscribes. We seem to be hitting so many huge milestones on this channel. Glory to God. And here is what YouTube thinks you should watch next.